Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So I haven't done a video in a while, so I figured I should probably just film something so you guys know that I'm still here. But yeah, I've cleared out a lot of space, so some of these DVDs are from the other side. I've moved some of them around, cleared a lot of space. Some of these boxes are just full of DVDs, like I'll give you a little bit of a look what I've been doing. And I cleared so many covers. Oh no, this is the old collection, so I've put the old collection in some of these boxes as well, so I didn't feel comfortable like just donating all the discs from the old collection. So until I can get to that point where I feel comfortable donating those, they're just going to be in the boxes alongside what I'm doing with the cases and the slip covers and stuff like that. So it's down the end, but I'll show you the wrestling ones because I've been doing it with the wrestling as well. So the wrestling's more housing the big box ones, and they're all still there. Like it's a bit tedious at the moment, but you know, I've got them sorted by year. I've got them sorted by altogether. So like this would be 2008. And then, let me just get a couple of these out here to give you an example of what I'm doing with wrestling. I'm not folding down the WrestleManias. So before anyone asks, the collector's edition ones, like they all are. They're all still there. And I've also been ripping these at the same time to make MKVs. So I will have a full collection of my wrestling collection on Make MKV and MKV files. And then I will also, like, these are more reference. So this is one reason why I'm folding down the wrestling collection. Because I am making MKV versions of them. And I really am going to watch the MKV versions. It's just easier for me. But I know that is sacrilege to what I've been saying for a year. Like, you've got to have the physical media. You've got to have the physical media. Well, yes, you do. And that's why I'm folding them down. These are the reference quality. If my hard drives ever crash, I can go back to the reference quality discs. And I know this is sacrilege to some of you. I know what I'm doing is like, this is not for everyone. I know I've been criticized by a couple of people in the community saying, oh, what is this guy doing? Like, you shouldn't be doing this. But I would like to say up front, this is how I'm managing my collection. Now, this is not for everyone. I understand that. And I want to say this up front. If any ideas from these videos help you manage your collection, great. If it doesn't help and it's like, oh, I would never do that in a million years, that's fine too. Like, there is no problem with that. But when I start clearing space like up there, like when I start clearing the wrestling collection and start clearing actual shelves out, you can see I've got a lot of stuff over there I've still got to sort through. But when I start like clearing real space, you start to notice just how much clutter you have with these plastic cases. And I understand not everybody is going to get rid of the plastic cases in light of slipcovers. I know slipcovers have been around for a long time. I know not everyone's going to do this. I know not everyone's going to like this solution. But for me, it came to that point where I was kind of spending everything to keep up with the Joneses, if that makes sense. Like this Blu-ray collection behind me, I haven't even started with that. But there is a certain part where I was buying almost every 4K release that came out. And that's just not justifiable. I bought Old, the M. Night Shyamalan movie, just to watch it, and I didn't like that movie. I will probably never watch that movie again. And, it's in my collection now, and I don't know what to do with it. Like, and people say resell some of the 4Ks. Well, I'm considering that. Some of the wrestling VHS tapes I've sold recently, so I sold about 6 of them. And it's not like a massive number. I've got about 200 tapes. But, that number is still significant for me. Moving 6 tapes for about, I think it was like $200 or something. Moving 6 tapes is still like moving some tapes. So it's like, it's showing my mind that I am able to part with this. Now, there are tapes that I'm a bit more attached to, like the 1997 collection. Like, I remember going to Video Easy and renting WrestleMania 13. So these are tapes that I have to be like, do I really want to sell these certain tapes in this collection? If so, what am I selling and what am I not selling? So I'll probably keep WrestleMania 13 just for significant reasons that I remember going to video shops and renting that. I'll probably keep SummerSlam 97 just because significant pay-per-view. But there are certain titles here and there where I'll be like, oh, well, I have WrestleMania that many times over. Why do I need to have WrestleMania 1, 2, and 3 and all this on VHS tape? I've got many different versions. In many cases, the VHS tapes don't contain the full pay-per-view. So the DVDs are actually a better way to experience that whole show. And yes, while some audio has been changed, that's where like stuff like Tag Classics come in, and So when I think of that, I think of how am I going to make this as easy as possible for myself, but also to make calls. How do I make calls on the fly? Like, I'm very attached to my Blu-rays at the moment. I don't think I'll do this with my Blu-rays. That being said, there's Blu-rays in my collection that I'm just not caring about. Like, I wouldn't do this with 007. I wouldn't do this with the MCU, even though people can say what they will about the MCU at the moment. I agree, the MCU is kind of broken at the moment. But everything up to Endgame, like, I'm not going to fall down any of the MCU. I've put too much effort into it. The Arrowverse, I probably won't fall down because I've got the Arrowverse off over there, if I can turn this around. So over there is the Arrowverse. I've got, like, basically every Arrowverse show, and just ignore all the mess over there. But, you know, I'm sorting this room out, and there's so much mess around here at the moment because I'm sorting, and I'm being serious about, like, when I say I'm downsizing, I'm downsizing. Like, I am making a determination saying, if I can get it all down to one bookcase, like, obviously I'll have a bookcase for just the boxes. Like, I'm going to have to work that into the plan. But, you know, I want to reclaim this room. Like, I want this to be something of a reflection of my favorites. Like, Jaws won't be folded down. Titanic won't be folded down. 007 won't be folded down. There's a lot of titles in my collection that I will not fold down. Dawn of the Dead won't be folded down. Like, there's a lot of stuff in here that I'm just not going to fold down. Now, that doesn't mean, like, if I was able to move a lot more VHS tapes from my wrestling collection, I could use the storage under my TV for, like, the box sets, like the Colombian classics up the top there and all that, you know. I could use a lot of room in here and clear a lot more. But that's what I'm doing at the moment. That's why I'm kind of not giving updates and, like, not doing my usual come on here and do videos. Honestly, I didn't even know if I should make this video. Like, I'm someone who, I'm not filming the process. I'm not filming, like, what I'm doing day to day, because that's just boring, and there's other YouTubers who do it. Like, and I'm not knocking any other YouTubers. What works, works. But for me, I just want to say, like, I want to come to you with a, hey, I've done this in like a month from now and say, here's my method. I have worked this, and, you know, it's been a couple of weeks now. The wrestling collection, I've interacted with my wrestling collection now in this 2 weeks since I've been making MKV versions. I've watched a lot more wrestling pay-per-views in the past 2 weeks than I've watched in the past 5 years in terms of the DVD collection. And that's because I'm ripping them to make MKV, and they're available. And yes, I know that it's on Netflix. I know it's on Netflix. So I know there's going to be the people in the comments saying, you can just get this on Netflix. That's not the point. The point is I own it. And yes, while you're not officially meant to be ripping DVDs, I'm owning and maintaining the copy. I'm not putting it back online. I'm not seeding the bay. I'm not doing any of that. This is a offline version that I'm experiencing in my own household that I'm not reposting. It's for my own personal use. And how I experience that DVD is nobody else's business. As long as I'm not breaking copyright by putting it back out in the public, I don't see any problem with it. And that's the same with CDs, you know. People say, you know, you can't actually officially rip your CDs. Like, it's kind of illegal to rip your CDs into iTunes back in the day. And the laws were never changed, so they haven't reflected the modern use of these things. So I know there's gonna be people in my comments saying, I told you about Plex servers and this and that and Jellyfin and all this stuff years ago. I'm not making a Plex server. I'm not making a Jellyfin server. This is all offline. I'm putting them on hard drives, and people say, but what if the hard drive crashes? Well, then I just re-rip it. And that's the thing, like, I am someone who wants to have a truly offline thing. I don't want it attached to a network, and I know people can say, but you can have a Jellyfin or Plex server offline. That's not the point. I want to dig through a hard drive like the old school thing and be like, oh, I know exactly where it is, but I also want to catalog it, and so I have a definitive collection of my each year of wrestling, or like what movies, like each category. Like, I can have a database also that have the hard files, and then, you know, all I got to do is arrange it in the box to reflect how the hard drives are arranged. And I might end up with like a couple of hard drives after this. I might end up with a lot of them. But look, I am making this decision because I've interacted with my DVD collection a lot more now since I've been doing this, since I have had a lot of these DVDs. The Blu-rays I haven't even started on, but, you know, my Blu-rays are my Blu-rays. They're the ones that are, like, I am big on. And I don't know how I'm going to handle that. I haven't made a call on that. I haven't said I'm going to sleeve them like the DVDs. So yeah, at the moment I'm only focusing on DVDs and also clearing some VHS tapes, the wrestling tapes. And then I'll make calls on the Blu-rays. What am I doing? What am I folding down? What am I selling? There's a lot there that I might sell. Like, if I was going to be rid of Dawn of the Dead, even though I'm not going to. I love Dawn of the Dead and I'm not selling it. It's a very special 4K version that is a limited edition. I'm not going to sell it. But if I was making that call and I was like, you know what, Dawn of the Dead has to go. If I said that, then I would sell it. I wouldn't be folding it down. I wouldn't be trying to keep it. I would be saying, you know what, this can be in someone else's collection and someone else can appreciate it. Because that's the thing. And also with the wrestling tapes, when I sold the wrestling tapes, I sold for a lot cheaper than probably they're worth, because at my mentality as a collector is, oh, I'm not gonna be like the eBay people saying I got to scalp this for $70 because it's a very rare pay-per-view. No, I will try to connect when I'm selling my collection. I'll try to connect my sort of, what's the word, my collection to another collector. Like there was someone who was talking to me who really just wanted the covers, but I was trying to help him out saying, well, mate, he wanted all of 1998, the ones in my collection for VHS tapes. He wanted all of 1998 WWF. And I was like, just out of curiosity, just throw me an offer. And it was a bit low, but I was like, well, I could probably work if you wanted to come up maybe 100, like, and then I was like, can you come up 50 and I'll work with you. I'll work with you on it because I know he was a collector. I know he wanted it. And then I couldn't close that deal, but I'm working with collectors. I want collectors to experience it. I don't want to just lock it away and be like, this is, what's a good one here? Let's just grab something off the shelf. Great grand final. I'm a Manly fan, so yeah. Great grand final, 40-0 against Melbourne Storm in 2008. If I was ever going to sell that, even though I'm not going to sell that, that's a mad grand final. um, if I was ever going to sell that, I would try to get it into a Manly fan's hands and try to say, here's something cool, I love it, now it's yours and you can experience it again. Like, I would try to work with them on price. It's not about the price to me, it's about making sure the scalpers don't get their hands on them and list them for $140 for bad boys. Like, that's not what I'm about as a collector. That's not what I care about. And if the people out there want to say, think like an American, and no, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Slipcover Steve did have some good points about me. I will say that. Slipcover Steve is watching my videos, and I will say he had some good points. I will acknowledge he made some good points. I know a lot of people knock his stuff, but I know it's a bit confrontational, but he was saying, like, yeah, there is a lot in me saying, don't fold down the covers, don't fold them out, don't take them out of these covers. There's a lot of mentality in my head saying, don't do that. What are you doing? But I have to remind myself, at the end of the day, I'm not an American. I don't have a basement that I can just fill with DVDs. This takes real space. And I could be using this space for so much more. I could build this into a studio if I wanted. I could make this something much more me at the moment. And this is the most me as well. Like, I'm probably not going to change the Blu-ray portion too much because I love the Blu-rays. But, if I was to clear the VHS tapes, I could put stuff under my TV and, rearrange certain things to make it look like less is more. But that's what I'm thinking. Like, the Arrowverse could go onto my TV, theoretically. It's not something I watch every day, but I love the idea that I have the Arrowverse available to me. And yes, I know this is all on digital. I know I can get some streaming service and experience it however the world does it now. I know that, I am aware of the modern methods, but I am a fan of movies. It's said like Ted Turner used to buy content when he was the head honcho of Warner, and the Turner networks. He used to buy like Looney Tunes, for example. I think he bought like all those things, DC. He wanted to own his content. And I'm like that. Like, I want to own my content. I don't want to rent my content. I don't want to pay a monthly recurring subscription. And yes, I paid a stupid amount to have that privilege, but it is a privilege, It's a privilege to have that. And how I choose to store it, yes, I understand it's not for everyone, but it works for me. And I did get that method from Serial at Midnight, but then I was also watching numerous others who did the same method, and they were all like, this has reinvented the way I collect. Like, if I got really far along, I could probably go back out and buy a few more DVDs that I wanted and squeeze them in and be like, okay, now I've filled the box. That's where I finish. That is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at how I do it. But I'm also not folding down the WrestleManias. Like, the WrestleManias are still up there. You can still see them up there in the tag classics. So I am doing a curation as well during this. I'm saying what remains in the covers. And that is part of the fun as well. But you guys are not here for that. You're here to hear my collecting stories and stuff like that. And I know that. These videos will alienate some of you. I know some of you will say, this is not the channel for me anymore. How dare he do this to his collection? Well, as I said, that end part right there is what I think. It's my collection. This is how I am doing my collection. It's not going to work for everyone, but it works for me. And likewise, I like how this is coming along. I like how I am starting to be more picky with my DVDs and Blu-rays. I haven't been out to buy a new one in months now since I've started this. And I'm appreciating what I have. And that's what I want to end on. Like, so often as collectors, we are fighting with each other online and fighting to have, like, oh, look, I have this one version of the Mummy, and I have this, but then I have the 4K, and we're all competing with each other to say, look at how cool mine is. Mine's better than yours. At the end of the day, I like I like to have a number of different versions. I like to have everything that I can appreciate. And it's not about competing. If you just have a standard version of, I don't know, the full Monty, then that's for you as well. Like, that is your prerogative. But at the end of the day, I am someone who wants to collect and wants to continue collecting. But when you're out of room, you need to look inwards and say, how do I solve a problem? And that's where I'm going to end it today. So I hope this was the update you all wished for. Hope this is what you were hoping for, and I hope I can give you some sort of insight into what I'm doing, and maybe it can help some of you, maybe it won't help some of you, maybe some of you will just go on to YouTube and vilify me. I don't know. But yeah, I hope this helps some of you. Some of you will just not accept what I'm saying with the slip covers. I know that's not for everyone, but it's working for me. And that's how I want to end it, because it is working for me, and that's how I'm going to continue until I see a point where I'm not going to continue on with it. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace!